Hi, my name is Melissa Purcell, and I would like to talk for a minute about the Livestrong Foundation and the Livestrong program at the YMCA. I'm sorry that I could not be there today. If I'm correct, then I think you're watching this for the Zumbathon, and it's going to be May 8th, and that's so when you're watching this, it's actually my birthday. Um, and it's going to be a great day for me, but for reasons I will say in just a second, which are really good, I can't be with you because I'm far away. It's actually just a few days. So it's only May 3rd when I'm recording this. So I just wanted to take a minute to tell you about what the Livestrong program has done for me. Um, I so I'm a very educated person. I went to school for quite a long time. I have a doctorate degree. I'm a lawyer. I have an MBA. I have more than one bachelor's degree in Japanese and Spanish, and I studied computer science. I'm really well educated, but it floors me that with all that education, I was not smart enough to take care of my body, and it almost cost me everything. So 3 years ago, 3 years ago in a couple of weeks, on April 16th, 2012, at 421 pounds, I discovered that I was diagnosed with a stage 3 uterine cancer, which was caused by my own morbid obesity. No question about it. It was directly a cause. It was very scary at my age, being so young, thinking I had a future ahead of me. I knew that my weight was a problem, but I thought that I had time to take care of it. But I didn't. It was way too late by the time I found out, the damage was done. And it was very sad news for my whole family. Very depressing. I would never be able to have children. I was going to be put into menopause, surgically induced menopause, 2 decades early, at 29 years old. And the scariest part was that it wasn't until after the surgery that we found out it had actually spread. So it had spread beyond my uterus, so they had to take everything, and I didn't know that until the surgery. So it's, uterus, ovaries, cervix, lymph nodes, 18 lymph nodes, and so it's spread, and just very, very scary, because once it's out there, then you're worried about metastatic. It's very scary. And so I spent the last few years fighting it. Lots of chemo. I lost all of my hair. I had to go through a lot of several different types of treatments. So I had the carbotaxol chemo cocktail, and then I had to do radiation, external beam radiation, which is the kind you're probably the most familiar with. But then after a couple of months of that, I also had to do internal radiation, which is where they burn you from the inside to get hopefully the last of the disease out of you. It's long-lasting damage, and it's all cumulative. So what people don't usually know is that the real fight with cancer begins after you finish your treatments, because your hair starts to grow back. Which sounds like it's a great thing, because losing your hair, especially for a woman, is a big, big deal. And you may not even realize it until it happens to you. For me, at 421 pounds, it was the only thing I liked about myself physically. I had this long, waist-length, beautiful hair. I'm part Native American and part Italian, so it's just was the one thing I loved. Gone. Luckily, I was able to donate it right before I started chemo. But so at the end of your treatments, your hair starts to grow back. And why that's bad is because you start to look normal. People can look at you and think that you're just a normal person, but you're not. That's when your damage you're at the peak of your damage. So you're just starting to get. That's when you have the worst of it. It's accumulated, and so what I discovered, I had lots and lots of damage that was getting worse at that point. I had nerve damage in my legs, so there were days when my legs wouldn't work at all. I would lay there kicking and twitching, and it spread to parts of my body, my hands and my shoulders, and it was like being in a lightning ball. But I tried to walk because I was in menopause and I had to, but my metabolism was so slow. So I tried to walk, but there were days when my legs would just give out. One time in the middle of Target, I was trying to push a cart. But what happened was my cancer is hormone dependent. And I discovered that fat cells produce estrogen, which is a hormone. And so part of my fight, if I wanted to survive, was given less than a 40% chance to survive for 5 years. The only thing I could do was to lose weight. I had to lose weight if I really wanted to survive. At least that's how it felt to me. What I found was that there's not a lot of support once you finish cancer treatments. There's not a lot of post-treatment help. The only help there really is at that point is if you're kind of in hospice care. So if you want to survive, there's not very much out there. And so I struggled looking for some help. I was really just depressed, and I was terrified. And but I really wanted to do something. I really felt like I was so young. I had my whole life, and even if my whole life was only going to be a year or two, I wanted to do something. I made a bucket list, and I wanted to check the things off my bucket list. And when I went looking, I looked for a safe place to walk because my legs didn't work all the time. I needed handles and a treadmill that could hold me at 400 plus pounds. So I went to the Y in Grove City because I knew they had treadmills. And when I walked in, I explained to the lady at the desk that, my special situation. I wasn't sure what I could do or if they had help for someone like me. And it just so happened that there that day was a lady named Keonta Carter, who was someone who oversaw the LiveStrong program. And she talked to me about it and said they had a class upcoming that I could join. I was very nervous about it because I felt so ugly. I had gained even more weight. I had lost all of my hair. I felt like Uncle Fester. I mean, it was horrible. And I struggled with questions of whether I was still a woman because they had taken the things I considered to be what, makes you a woman. It was a very difficult time. I didn't want people to look at me, and so being in public or being in a group with people looking at me, I thought was very scary. But I went, and it turned out to be fantastic. I was scared the first couple of times. There were times when I went and I was crying the whole way just because I was emotional, not for any specific reason. Sometimes a song would come on and I would just cry. And I'd get there and it would be no big deal. They wouldn't look at me sideways. It was very welcoming, and they would work with me. They knew what I had been through and what my limitations were. My legs didn't always work, but I could do some things, and no matter what it was, they would do something with me one-on-one. A trainer would work with me, and then we'd do like an hour-long group class. And it was the only thing that really got me out of bed, knowing I had a safe place that didn't care how I looked, or if I couldn't run on the treadmill every day, or if I couldn't walk at all. I could just go and sit there, and I felt like I was getting out. It was something I needed so badly, just to be around people. But I remember my very first day with Susanna and Tony were two of the trainers. They stood on the treadmills next to me while I walked, and they put the treadmill speed at 2.5 miles an hour. And I tried to walk for 20 minutes, and it was just one of the hardest things I've ever done to finish that 20 minutes. It was very difficult. And I remember after a while, they bumped it up to 2.7, and I could only do that for like 60 seconds. It was so hard. It was so hard for me. But I kept with it, and they pushed me, and, they listened. And let me tell you what it did for me. I still have sad days. I still have very sad days. Every now and then, just something will hit me the wrong way, or I'll think about being young with cancer. But in the past year, since last March of 2014, it is now, May of 2015, I have lost 195 pounds. I weigh 226 pounds right now. I run miles every day. I run miles. Friday I just ran 9 miles. And Saturday I got up and ran another 3 miles. And the reason that I'm not there with you today is because I have been training for something called the Red Rock Relay in Moab, Utah, which is this Saturday, May 9th. It is 63 miles in the mountains. Usually you split it up between 12 people, but we're doing something called an ultra, which is where we have only 4 people doing the entire race. And it's a combination of distance and heat and elevation, and most importantly, incline, because these inclines are extremely steep. So I have several legs of the race where I'm running 7+ miles. So, a total of 15 or 16 miles at these steep inclines at a high altitude in the heat. And I can't believe that I am going to do it. And I've trained for it, and I'm ready. It has been on my bucket list since those days. I was sitting in chemo all day, dreaming about being free from all the hooked up machines to my body, feeling like I was trapped and like I just didn't know if I would live. It was all I wanted was to be free. And running was what I daydreamed about being the thing that would set me free. And it was the LiveStrong Foundation that got me out of bed. It was the only thing I could find that would help a young person like me who had a shot at life. And so, as a part of everything else that they've done for me in the past year, just getting healthy, I've also been able to start my own business and start my own law firm, and finally get to use some of that education to help other people, because I help people start their own businesses and protect their businesses and grow their businesses. And my law firm also takes on a large chunk of the legal aid society's legal cases for low-income people in Columbus. So I am able to do a lot for my community that I didn't think I'd be around to see. And so this is a big birthday for me. This will be birthday number 3. So take that, cancer statistics. The LiveStrong Foundation is worth everything. I mean, I have always noticed that there's a lot. When you look around, there's just so much. If when we see cancer mentioned or advertised, it's always for research and to find a cure, and looking for the answers, and that is a great, fantastic, noble cause. But what you will not see is help for people after they've survived, people that have made it through and that have a chance at surviving. And so this program needs funding. Not only does it need funding, but it needs to be shared. People who have cancer need to know that this is out there. I was desperate. So please, please consider giving to this program. Any little donation, anything that you can give, will help people like me get off their feet. But also, please share. Anyone that you know who has this disease will benefit from something like it, and they will want it. They might not want it right away, but eventually they will be looking for it. And it's such a rare thing. It's just hard to find anything like it. So thank you for letting me speak. And I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but as I said, by the time you watch this, I'll be very, very nervous getting ready for my big day, to prove that I am very much still alive and here to fight. So thank you so much, and I hope that you enjoy your Zumbathon. And thank you to you and to the Livestrong Foundation. I love you very much. Bye.